It's time once again for the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
Fresh off of Maple Grove Days. We'll talk about that in just a little bit here and all the fun that was happening in town. A lot of other things happening in the city as well, so they're part of our recap. But first to the council meeting from July 15th, about an hour and a half in length. We'll get into some of the items here. One item pulled from consent as we start, and that has to do with something people are looking forward to but don't want it to come too fast.
Right.
The state fair and bus service. What has happened here?
We're so happy that bus service is coming back to the downtown, the Main Street ramp down there. $6 round trip, weekends and Labor Day. So of course we run the commuter service during the week with Maple Grove Transit, but Metro Transit is bringing back those state fair buses, which I know have been missed since the pandemic. So we're really looking forward to that. And you're right, we're not wishing the summer away, but good to have that news coming for the state fair time.
All right, more to come on the details of that. To the public hearings from the meeting on the 15th. 3 public hearings. The first had to do with the community center. We're going to talk about the community center a little later as well. And there was something in consent. So tell us about the public hearing and the other parts involved.
Yeah, so many things right now getting in line and getting in order for us to move forward with the community center project phase 1. So a couple things on the regular agenda was the PUD plan amendment as well as the final plat. So those were considered at the last meeting. So kind of all these land use entitlement and platting matters being resolved. This action here was easement and right-of-way vacation, so sort of cleaning up some old easements. Those get rededicated then with the new plat in terms of where utilities and right-of-way will be. So yeah, just another step in that process to get going here. And we're going to start, we'll talk a little bit later in the agenda more, but you're going to start to see some activity over there here in short order. Very
good. Second public hearing on the 15th was with Hennessy Grove. This was to the council in June and now comes back. Tell us a little bit more about this property and what's going on here.
Yeah, so this is a development out on the west side off of Maple Grove Parkway, just south of Fire Station 5. 14 lot subdivision infill development over there. So Hennessy Grove is the name of it, and this one is just to public hearing for the improvements. So street, sewer, water, storm, those types of things, and that one moved forward as well.
Third public hearing on the evening was the policy on short-term rental licensing. This was the one item that took the longest time in the meeting, and you didn't expect it to take this long, but this had a lot of conversation around it. Fill us in on what was discussed.
Yeah, so this ended up being a bigger item than we anticipated, but it was something that we talked about as we worked through a number of changes around rental licensing in general. If you recall, over the last couple of years, we've made some code changes with regard to rental licensing and tightened some things up a little bit, and so this was sort of one of those remaining items around short-term rental licensing. So you think of your Airbnbs, VRBOs, and surprisingly we have quite a number of them in Maple Grove. You might not think that, but there are quite a few. So heretofore, short-term rental units had been required to have a rental license. We know there's probably a number of them that haven't been doing that, but we felt like looking at how other cities have been managing this, that there probably was an alternative license that would probably fit this type of unit a little bit better. So this was really a code amendment to create a specific licensing path for that short-term rental. So kind of a lower conversion rate, which the conversion fee up front really is about kind of that initial inspection of the unit and addressing any of those issues that need to be addressed in a rental unit for people to occupy that. So that's a lower cost. And then just an annual renewal versus our other rental licenses renew on an every 3-year cadence. This seemed like, that might change a little bit more frequently for short term, so just a shorter term there. And then opportunity for those license holders, they would need to participate in kind of a training with public safety on that. So, we've had some issues up here in the Northwest Metro with some shootings and things at these short-term rentals. And we know that most of the operators are doing the right thing, right? Making sure they're screening tenants and making sure things don't get out of hand with parties and large gatherings and any illegal activity at those. But we do have some outliers from time to time. So it just requires us to have good policy in place to deal with those situations. regulations and make sure that everybody's kind of playing by the same rules here. So got some feedback. There was some social media that kind of started up prior to, late last week, and then Fox 9 picked up the story, so they were at the meeting. But I think, we've had a lot of really positive feedback from residents where some of these short-term rental units are living in their neighborhoods, and I think they are thankful for the city stepping in and, providing some structure around that. And again, this is just a change to the type of licensing and the procedure around that. So. With that, the ordinance language will get finalized. It'll come back on a consent agenda, but council was supportive, and this one will likely move forward on a future agenda as well.
And this is happening in other places as well, so other cities around are doing the same thing at the same time. Is that correct?
For sure, and it's not about precluding them or not allowing them in the community. We understand, there's a property right here in people's use and opportunity to make money off their property, but I think it's really just wanting to make sure that sort of those public safety things and life safety things are addressed in those units, and that we don't end up with issues in the community as a result of it.
That was the third and final public hearing. Now let's move ahead to community and economic development items, and one that returned as well after a few times before the council late last year is the Popeyes that was looking at the Dunkirk Square area. Give us a little history and again update us on what happened at the meeting.
Yeah, so this is the mall kind of up off of County Road 30, Maple Grove Parkway, where Hobby Lobby, Becker Furniture World is up there. So they were looking to do a Popeyes kind of at the far southwest corner of that mall there, kind of an infill lot. So again, we're back to the infill retail at the edges issue. So yeah, this one had been in front of Planning Commission and Council quite a few times. We were sort of at the end of the timeline for that process here. Lots of work around, traffic and circulation, not only within the confines of the mall, but how people are accessing in and out of that mall. And so I think at the end, council just wasn't quite comfortable with making this change to the PUD up here. This was a concept change to that. This was previously, that site was sort of allocated for kind of an auto service store. So this change to a drive-through fast food restaurant was a pretty big change in terms of use up there. And I think maybe some thought about, well, it's a Popeyes today, what could it be in the future, and would that bring more traffic and circulation issues? So this one ended up getting denied on a 4-1 vote, and so likely won't see Popeyes coming back on that corner, anytime soon.
Next item was adjourning to the EDA, and it was to deal with a few items related to TIF. So again, remind us what TIF is and what the two specific items were.
Yeah, so tax increment financing is an economic development tool that's used in most communities to help support economic development or growth of industry, job creation, and it really captures those taxes that are paid by the new development. So kind of sets a base value there with the land or existing buildings, and then any new value that's created in that project can be captured as tax increment financing and provided back to the developer to help support the project. So in this situation, we were decertifying or terminating a couple of TIF districts, which is not usually what we do, but we did have a district created over off of Fish Lake Road, kind of south of Abbott there, for what was called ProMed. It was a med tech business that was going to build there, and they just never really kind of got that together to move forward. So we were decertifying that district, and then Arbor Lakes Business Park building number 4, they have a user coming in there called Slick City, which is a kind of an entertainment-based use, indoor slides, kind of family entertainment, and can't use tax increment financing for that type of a user. So they had to kind of give that up on that building there. But good to see kind of a different type of business coming into that, that area, provides some nighttime traffic over there, which we like, and we've been focused on bringing more experience-based businesses to town. So this kind of fits that bill, but just a process here to kind of remove that that TIF note on that building out there in Arbor Lakes Business Park.
Back to the regular council meeting then on the 15th for some updates of what's coming up in community and economic development. And the first is the Planning Commission is coming up on the 29th, and a full agenda. Yeah,
full agenda. So we've got Elm Creek Vista, which is a 7-lot subdivision out in kind of the southwest corner of town in the Elm Road area. And then we have a senior living project over at the Village. It'll be 132 units of independent senior living. And then we have a zoning text amendment around some garage stall issues. And so pretty good Planning Commission agenda for July 29th.
Couple other notes at the meeting, a business opening, IKEA, but before you think it's the big building, it's not the big building, something rather unique coming to Maple Grove.
Yeah, so this is going to be in the shops. It's an IKEA pop-up, so
Okay.
they will have some product in the store, but also opportunities for kind of exploring, their products online and then ordering, talking with staff, that type of a thing. But they are celebrating their ribbon cutting this coming Friday at 11 a.m. again over at the shops, and I think the first I don't remember if it's 50 or 100 people that are there get like a $25 gift card and
Nice.
some takeaways. So
Okay.
if you're in the area Friday morning at 11, might be fun to stop by that IKEA pop-up shop.
Final note passed in this update was about ash trees, and
Yeah.
we have been talking about that on a regular basis. What's the focus here about the ash trees? And I think somewhat related to businesses, correct?
Oh yeah, so our new city forester has been very busy since coming on board late spring. If you drive through the Arbor Lakes business area, the retail area, so many dead ash trees and dead trees in general. So we have been out tagging those. You'll see like a green circle around them, either in a ribbon or spray paint. And so with that, we've notified the property owner that they need to be removing those trees and replacing those trees.
Okay,
and
good.
so wanting to make sure that we don't, with the loss of these ash trees and other trees that haven't, thrived out there, that we're not sort of diminishing, the urban landscape either. We want to make sure that those things are replaced, and that's an obligation of the property owner with their landscape plan that was approved with the city. So you'll see those trees tagged out there, and so you can kind of follow along, and we'll just be sort of methodically moving through the city and dealing with those issues. And our our big focus for the city forester right now is in those commercial districts.
Very good. On to engineering from the meeting on the 15th, and recycling contract extension was discussed.
Yeah.
And this is something that the city talks about, I understand, on, it's not a real regular basis, but happens every so often. Remind us what this is and what was some of the discussion that might come to a change.
Yeah, so our recycling contract with Republic, so the city manages recycling through a contractor, Republic Services, was up, and so we had discussion with the council about whether we try to renegotiate with Republic or do we go out for bid. There's not a lot of providers in this space anymore, and so the options for alternative providers, there's not a tremendous amount in the market. And we've been generally happy with Republic Services. We think they do a pretty good job in the community. So worked with them to extend that recycling contract, but also to look at the opportunity for the city to roll organics recycling into its recycling efforts. And so we know that there has been, some confusion and sort of the rates that haulers are charging kind of all over the board. Folks will recall, there was a change at the county level.
Right.
Hennepin County required every city to require organic services, and many cities did that by requiring their haulers to do that. State law dictates that you have to charge everyone regardless of whether they participate or not, and there was a lot of feedback about that. So the rates that we have here coming forward from Republic, I think will be a cost savings to most residents on the organics front. A little bit of an increase on the recycling. Lots of information in a PowerPoint out there in the packet if folks want to go take a look at that. But council was, positive about this opportunity to bring back, the contract that would have the city, extending their contract with Republic for recycling, but then also adding in that organics recycling. We're going to roll out a big communications plan on this. If we learned anything with the county change, is it didn't go great, and so a lot of confusion out there, and maybe folks not being aware. So we're going to do our very best to get that out on all of our communications platforms and make sure folks are aware of this impending change, where Republic would be taking that on with the city contract.
All right, more to come. Be watching for that. Update on upcoming engineering items, not specifically in the city of Maple Grove, but will affect Maple Grove drivers. They wanted to say, watch out for 94. What's happening a little up the road?
Yeah, so we've called it, on behalf of the I-94 Coalition, it's been named the GAP Project. And so this is the gap between Albertville and Monticello, where we've, gotten to 3 lanes, down to 2, back to 3. Monticello to Clearwater is done in 3. So this is really addressing that gap between Albertville and Monticello and getting converting that up to 3 lanes. So if you head north on the weekends and back on the Sunday night, Monday morning, just watch out for some traffic on that 94 corridor. Some lane shifts where they're going to be moving everything over to the west side and or south side and everything back to the north side. So work starting there here in the next couple weeks on the GAP project on the 94 corridor. And then one item coming up here in the next couple days, 169, the 63rd Avenue Bridge there, they're going to be pouring that bridge over the overnight hours. So you're going to see some overnight closures of 169, July 17th and 18th overnight. I think it's 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so just note, if you drive that 169 corridor, something you're going to want to pay attention to in the overnight hours.
Very good. Appreciate the heads up on that. 2 administrative items. We mentioned the community center a couple times earlier. Let's come back to it here. Another discussion about the community center, this time related to the bids.
Yeah, so we were before the council, I think at their last meeting in June, to authorize to go out to bid on phase 1 of the community center. And just as a reminder, phase 1 involves the 3rd sheet of ice, kind of redoing all of the foyers or the entry space there at the arenas, and then all the site work on the west end. And folks might recall we're pushing south and we're pushing west.
Right.
And so we were able to acquire some land from Cub on the west end, kind of underneath the power lines. And then we're going to come south towards the lake and kind of reposition, playground, park pavilion, those types of things on that south side there, with a little bit more exposure to the lake side. So big project. There will be impacts here in terms of how people access the site. Things will remain open. Those 2 sheets of ice are going to remain in use, and the balance of the community center open to the public. But just know when you're coming in, maybe slow down a little bit, take a look around, because maybe where you're turning is going to change. And they're going to start on that southwest lot. So a lot of the parking will be focused in that northwest lot and the northeast lot, but how you get in and out of there might change a bit as we move into that construction. But bids came in pretty good. We ended up under about $260,000 under bid. First phase of this project is just a touch over $40 million, but we were able to roll in some of the alternate bids that we had to address kind of refinishing some bathrooms, that type of thing. So we were happy to be able to roll a couple of those in and still be under budget here. So first phase of this, you're going to start to see some construction activity over there. We're planning not a ribbon cutting. That's in a year and a half. Groundbreaking.
Yes.
Likely here at the end of July. We'll try to get that in. But good news on phase 1 of that community center project.
Fantastic. Final note of the meeting on the 15th was just an update of budget time. That process has been underway, but now it gets to come to the council rather soon. Yeah,
so August 5th, we'll have our first budget work session with the council. Likely August 19th as well, as we work through things here. Maybe the first meeting in September. Last year we had 3 different budget work sessions, lots of discussion items. We need to set that preliminary levy by the end of September, so that second meeting in September is our opportunity for that. So we'll be sharing out budget information for that August 5th work session, and get to end of September to set that preliminary levy.
Very nice. All right, and last note of the meeting, and the first note we want to give in some of our community updates, is Maple Grove Days. So you gave a thank you to all the people behind this. It just doesn't happen.
No.
A lot of people spend a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a huge effort. Maple Grove Community Organization is a group of community volunteers that put on Maple Grove Days in addition to other events in the community, but huge effort by them, huge lift, and we are grateful for their commitment to these events in the community, particularly Maple Grove Days. So a little bit of weather that we dealt with on Saturday morning, but we're able to batten down the hatches when we needed to, and then get everybody back out there and opened up, and got through the fireworks on Saturday night. We were very worried. We were seeing radar that was showing 9:30 storms, and then all of a sudden it was popping back to much later, and ended up being a pretty doozy of a storm that came through here. I think areas to the south of us were hit a little bit harder, but we did get through it all. So great community celebration, those 4 or 5 days there. Huge appreciation to our police, fire, public works staff, Parks and Recreation staff. They all put in, a lot of hours during this time and make things happen. And it always is hot and humid.
Yes.
So that's also a little more wearing than normal. But yeah, big gratitude and to not only our staff but also Maple Grove Community Organization. Big part of Maple Grove Days is the Maple Grove Ambassador Coronation.
Right.
That was Friday night up at Maple Grove Senior High. So our new 2023 ambassadors, Jessica Faller, Sydney Leeser, and Olivia Plude. So was a great event up there. Our current Maple Grove Ambassador Program coordinators, Jillian Larson and Rebecca Key, are stepping away from that role. There's going to be new leadership stepping in. So good opportunity on Friday night to thank Rebecca and Jillian. A lot of tears shed that night looking back on the years with them, the videos, they always get you about the work, and just two great people that we've enjoyed working with over the years, and we'll have some new folks step into the table. But congratulations to Jessica, Sydney, and Olivia. You're going to start to see them out in the community at our variety of events, and I think we've got them teed up to come to a council meeting too here coming in August.
Fantastic. Yeah, hats off to all of the groups involved and also all the sponsors too. A lot of businesses step forward and help out sponsoring some of the things throughout the weekend too. So thanks to everyone involved. Photo contest, a little bit of a look back and a look ahead. A lot of photos came in and now some judging happens.
Yeah, so over 450 entries were submitted, and then folks could vote online. So there was over 800 votes cast in the online voting to select the viewer's choice entry. So in August, contest judges will make their selections, and then we will be announcing those winners in September, and then you'll start to see all those great new photos roll out in our communications.
Let's look ahead to fall for just a second. Believe it or not, the Park and Rec group is getting ready for fall, and they've got some guides that'll be out soon. Yeah,
so the fall activity guide will be available online, and then printed copies are always mailed to residents at the end of the month. So program registration begins August 6th, so start to see that in your homes end of July.
As always, a lot happening in the business community in Maple Grove. We've got a couple openings that happened over the past week that we want to make sure people know and get out and shop. Where can we shop now?
Yeah, so it's been a busy few weeks with ribbon cuttings in Maple Grove, which is wonderful. We're so happy about it. So North Star Bank opened their newest location in the Maple Grove Homestead Corner. So that's by Elm Creek Boulevard and Weaver Lake Road. Sweet Living Memory Care and Assisted Living, they opened out at the intersection of Bass Lake Road and 101. And then Ashley Furniture, we celebrated their ribbon cutting over there in Grove Crossing, just kind of behind the government center there. So congratulations to all of them and welcome to Maple Grove.
Let's talk a little bit about a roadway in town that's getting some attention, and you have an opportunity to give some input. That's Weaver Lake Road. What are we talking about maybe happening, and what kind of input are you looking for?
Yeah, so we're doing a community engagement process on the Weaver Lake Road corridor. We have an interactive map. There's some signs out on the corridor with QR codes that you can, give real-time feedback out there about what you want to see along that corridor. There's a web page, weaverlakeroad.com. So encourage people who drive that corridor, live along that corridor, to engage here. Feedback will be accepted through August 4th.
All right, a couple summer things to talk about, ways to have some fun out there, and also ways to keep safe, and that's with life jackets at a certain spot in the city.
Yeah, so this is at Weaver Lake. There are 2 life jacket loaner stations, one at the boat launch and one near the fishing pier, and these are free to use for anybody when they're near the water.
Town Green, also a place to go if you want to have some summertime fun. Something seems to be happening there about every other day.
Yeah.
Give us a little preview.
Yeah, I think the Wednesday night of Maple Grove Days Week, we had probably 3,000 people at Town Green for the first Mick Sterling concert. So it was great night out. And we're there tonight. Beautiful weather tonight. It's going to be gorgeous. So we have music performances at 7 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. On the Wednesday night, it is the new Grooves and Foods program. And so there's food trucks and beverages. Nice. And this is the Mick Sterling concert series. Maple Grove Rotary Club is also a sponsor of this. So you'll see Rotarians out, and you'll be hearing about the good work that Rotary does in the community as well.
Great.
And then child and family-oriented entertainment is offered every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. And then our movies on Friday night at dusk are back. And so lots for the last couple months of summer here at Town Green.
A lot going on there. All right, get your calendars out. Let's look ahead to August and September. First date in August to remember is August 6th. What happens that night?
First Tuesday in August is always National Night Out here in Maple Grove. Big event. Encourage folks to go to the website and get their neighborhood party registered. We do plan, a team to come out and visit with your neighbors that night and provide kind of a kit for you to put that party on. Just a reminder, reminder, we have our kickoff event that day from 11:30 to 1, and that's moving over to Central Park this year because of the construction at the community center.
Got it.
Just in terms of parking, you might want to think about parking at the library ramp and walking over. There's on-street parking in and around Maple Grove, or in and around Central Park as well.
Right.
But, we usually end up with, maybe a couple thousand people at
good
that
crowd,
kickoff
right.
event, and so it's pretty busy over a
Yeah.
couple hours. And free hot dogs are back this year thanks to coordination with Hy-Vee. So we're really
Fantastic.
excited about the kickoff, and then getting out to those parties on Tuesday, August 6th. Theme this year is just appreciating those who serve in public service.
Very
We've had
nice.
a couple tough years here in the law enforcement and the fire EMS world, and so
Right.
this year is all about appreciating those folks and letting them know how much we value the service to the community.
All right, August 6th, get involved. Next date for you to remember, the final date here is Friday, September 13th, in a good way on September 13th.
Yeah,
There's
it
going
is
to be
Friday
some
the
fun.
Yeah, so the Lions Club is back with their annual Rock in the Grove. This is
Yeah.
a one-day music festival with music, food, beverages, Friday, September 13th. Hairball is the headliner, and
Okay.
then the Weekend Rockstar is the opening act. Tickets are available at maplegrovelions.org.
Another great community organization making sure you can have some fun this summer. Heidi, thanks so much for the information. Always great to have you in for the
You're
updates.
welcome.
Let's leave you with contact information in case you need to get in touch with the city. There you see the phone number down on the lower left, and also maplegrovemn.gov. You can find out more about all the activities and events that we talked about. Next meeting, you see it in the middle, August 5th on the Monday. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us for the City of Maple Grove Report.